Good morning and happy Thursday. Welcome to our first Facebook Live of 2025. My name is Nikki Wetzel. I'm the Chief Advancement Officer here at Prosperity Connection, and I am joined by Ashley, one of our senior financial coaches, and Remy, our financial educator, and we are here to bust some credit myths. We know that there's a lot of information out there around credit, some true and good and some not so true and not so good. So we're here to bust some of those most popular myths that we've heard today. I do want to give one caveat. A lot of these myths come from people, companies, entities, and systems that profit off of you not knowing and not questioning. So I don't want anyone to feel ashamed or guilty or any negative emotion if you have believed or thought one of these myths. That is not what we're here to do. Like I said, these are often fairly strategically put in place to keep you where you are, and again, to profit off of poverty. So we just want to come in and help educate. Like, that's one of our core purposes here at Prosperity Connection, is just to help folks understand the system that we have to live in. So with that caveat, we will get started. I have tons of myths here that we're going to try to get through all of them. However, if you join us and you have a question, you're like, hey, I heard this, is this true? Please pop it in the chat and ask us. We would love to specifically address the things you are curious about.
Do you want me to start?
I'll let you start.
Okay. The truth is that credit card companies will report a late payment after 30 days. If you have a late payment and it's before 30 days, yes, you can still get charged a late fee. The company may still come after you and say, hey, you owe us this money, but physically reporting to a credit bureau, they have to wait 30 days. And then on the opposite of that, it is always 30 days. If you reach that 30-day mark, they will post that you will be 30 days past due. It is not 60, it is not 90, it is not any of those things. It is 30 days. So, and that goes pretty much with any bill. Like, get it paid before that 30 days, otherwise they will report.
Good morning, Bernadette.
And just to add in a little bit, if you feel like you're going to be late, contact the credit card company. They may be able to help you out, work something out, maybe accept a partial payment. Definitely over communicating is always better than under communicating.
Absolutely. The worst they can say is no. It's always worth advocating for yourself. I wonder if part of the confusion, and sorry to bring this on you guys, comes from some or all credit reports, you guys correct me and tell me, distinguish between payments that are 30 days late, payments that are 60 days late, because 60, 90-day late payments, those are more harmful, correct? So they do sometimes distinguish.
Yes. So basically how the reporting works, like in a nutshell, long story short, is they are reporting to a credit bureau every 30 days. So if you are 30 days late, that's your first 30. If another 30 goes by, they will report again. Now you're 90 days past late, or 60 days past late. If you go another 30 days, then you're 90 days past late, and so on and so forth. And the more late payments you have, the longer it goes that you haven't paid, the more it drops your score.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And just for some extra facts, how long do late payments stay on your credit report? How long are they affecting your score?
7 years.
So a long
time. 30-day late payment. If you get caught up,
in the test.
Yeah, it will stay right there, just eyeballing you every time.
Yep. I have finally moved beyond my 7 years, but early 20s Nikki really did, late 20s, early 30s Nikki dirty. Was really coming out from some of those late payments. And it honestly, I mean, for me, it was forgetfulness. It was not understanding the value of putting something on auto pay. So don't be like Nikki. Don't be like early 20s Nikki.
Yeah.
All right. This is another one we get a lot around credit card payments. If I pay half of my credit card balance on the due date and the other half days or a week later, I am somehow tricking the system into thinking I double paid. Let's talk about that. Let's dig in.
So, the answer to that question is no, you're not. You're not tricking the system. So, there are people who have attested that when I've done it that way, I have improved my credit score. When I've done it that way, I do have a better account on file and things like that. And that is probably true. You are not hurting yourself by making a payment on the due date and then making another payment 2 days or 2 weeks later or whatever the case may be. But you're not tricking the system. All you're doing is double paying. So you will see that your credit score may increase, but that is because credit utilization makes up 30% of your credit score. So if you are using less of your credit, your score is going up. If you're double paying, then you're using less credit and your score is going up. That would be a reason why you would see the score increase. The reason why your account would be, in better standing or whatever the case may be is because if you're making double payments, you are avoiding higher interest payments because they're not tacking on as much interest if you're double paying. So you are essentially playing the game, which is a good thing, great thing, but you're not tricking the system into somehow being like, this is going to look better for me. They're just taking twice your money. Is really what it is. So yeah.
And just try not to get it confused. I want to say that all products work differently, right?
Yes.
So I know I've heard that with other products, like maybe a car payment or a house payment, totally different from credit cards, you guys. So
yes.
The idea is that you're chunking out and you're paying interest first, and then you're paying on the principal. Don't treat credit cards like that.
Yeah.
Just go ahead, if you can, pay it off and be done with it. Especially if you have it to pay, at least pay. I would say pay the whole thing off. But at least pay the minimum balance due for that. But yeah, pay it off if you can. That's the thing. You don't have to have a balance resting on your account for them to see it. They know every time you tap the card. They know every time.
That might be one of your questions.
Yes.
Okay. Well, wait.
I mean, go ahead.
So that's another myth that people either believe that they have to keep a balance on their credit card at all times, or for whatever reason that they have to keep their credit card maxed out at all times. Neither of those is true. One of them is very harmful. So to keep a balance due on your credit card, it is not necessary. In fact, you don't want to do that. How you want to always utilize a credit card is to make a purchase, get billed for that purchase, pay it off completely. That is the way to avoid interest. That is the way to keep your account in good standing. So you really don't want to use a credit card where you're racking it up through the month and then you're making minimum payments, because the interest that they're going to charge you is outrageous. So you spend $300 on payments, you're going to end up spending $400 at the end of it. So you basically taking $100 and burning it in your backyard. Like, it's just money you don't have for no reason. So we do encourage that you use a credit card, immediately pay it off. That doesn't involve keeping a continuous balance on your card. So you don't have to do that. On the opposite end, don't ever max out your credit card or continue to max out your credit card. If there's an emergency situation, you max it out. We get it, life happens. Pay that credit card down as you can. But don't ever keep your credit card maxed out. That is the worst possible way you could use a credit card. Exactly.
I saw a really great question come in, and I want to make sure that we address it. So recently got an offer from a credit card company to transfer my balance to another credit card with a lower interest rate. Is that necessarily good to do, and does it help my credit score? I know there's a lot of nuance in this, so.
There is a lot of nuance. So I would say, in general, transferring debt to a lower interest rate is a good thing. The only caveat that I could see to that would be if you take $1,000 balance that has a 25% interest rate and you transfer it $1,000 balance and now you only have a 15% interest rate, that's great. But typically those are introductory interest rates, and so you want to make sure that you're reading the fine print and that it's not 0% for 12 months and there's no way you're going to be able to pay it off in 12 months, and so on month 13 your interest rate skyrockets to 37%. So that's kind of a tricky one in the sense that like you just said, there's all these tiny little nuances. Long story short, I will say always read the fine print.
Yeah.
Always make sure that it's not an introductory rate that they're giving you, that it's not something that eventually will be bad for you,
Yeah.
and that if it is an introductory rate, you're going to take that full balance, divide it out, and ask yourself, can I afford to get it paid down within this introductory rate? And if you can, boom, go for it. Great decision.
Yep.
If you can't, really kind of stop and think about that, because usually if there's an introductory rate that's fantastic, the rate afterwards is not so much, and that's how they get you. So.
I would add, sorry, Remy, that is to me a one-time solution. I'd really encourage folks. I have known folks, I have worked with folks when I was a coach where that was their constant solution. They just jumped from credit card to credit card, introductory rate to introductory rate. So they were constantly opening new credit cards. And sure, their debt was decreasing over time as they gave themselves more time. But one of the points that I always like to make, it's a small percentage, but the number of times and how recently you open credit cards does also impact your credit score. So you are also constantly fighting against that. When you open up that new credit card, you actually might see your credit score dip a little bit because you've now reduced the length of your credit history and you have a new inquiry on your report. So it might dip first and then increase as you pay off the debt. But just recognize that there are multiple factors coming into play there.
And just to reiterate something that you said, in order to avoid those interest payments would be just to pay it off.
Yes.
Pay the whole thing off.
Yeah, so really great question. I know I've heard a lot about the balance transfers, and they can be confusing, and I love Ashley's tip, like reading that fine print, making sure you have a really specific plan to get it paid off in that
And if you need a really specific plan, you know exactly where to find us. So reach out and we can walk you through that and get you set up with, even if you need like a spending plan or something to just ensure that you could potentially get that paid off before you even make that decision.
Yep.
And then we have also our financial wellness classes as well. If you want more in-depth and studies or want to ask questions as we go through the slides, definitely feel free to sign up for those classes. We'll be happy to have you come and join us.
Yeah, they're coming up again in April, just so everybody knows. All right, let's talk about a couple things around credit reports then. So once a line of credit in my report is in charge-off status, I don't owe that debt anymore. It's charged off. Off means gone, right?
So, off does not mean gone. It still is on your report up to that 7, depending on what it is, actually, 7 to 10 years. And then even after it falls off, you still are responsible for that debt. Please understand this, especially with credit cards. I'm a witness, dealing with working with other clients. They can still come after you for those funds and actually have a judgment and lien against your assets because you still owe for that, even though it's not on your credit. So definitely.
Because at its core, a charge-off is just a tax write-off essentially for the company, right?
When your account is in charge-off status, all it means is that the company has determined on their end, we're done. We're just going to write it off. We're going to get our money back.
Right.
So they will write that off on their end and be like, we're done here. We don't care anymore. We got a tax break. But that in no way, shape, or forms means that they're done with you. They'll still come after you. They could potentially still sue you. To Remy's point, it will stay on your credit for definitely 7 years at least. In the state of Missouri specifically, they can still come after you in any way, shape, or form for up to 10 years after the debt. So even though it's not showing on your report, they can literally just be like, yeah, we're still going to come after you. We're still going to sue you. And in other states, it is different. So just kind of keep that in mind. I think California is almost, I think it might even be indefinitely from what I understand.
Okay.
I don't think that, I think at any time they can come after you. But in Missouri, they can still come after you after 10, up to 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of answers the second one. So just any last comments on once a trade line, which is a credit card, a loan, anything on your credit report. Once that falls off my report, I don't owe it anymore. And so you've kind of already addressed
Yeah,
that.
you do still owe it, again, up to 10 years in Missouri.
Perfect.
So 7 years it'll fall off and it won't affect your credit anymore, but they can still come after you up to.
Again, communicate with these creditors, even if it falls into those different statuses, collections, charge off. Contact them and negotiate. And if you need assistance with that, we're here to help you as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, some things around building credit. Let's talk about co-signing on someone else's loan. Is that risk-free for me?
Yeah, so absolutely not. When you co-sign for somebody on a loan, it is you telling the lender, the person who's giving the money, that if this particular person does not pay for this, I'm up to bat. I'm the pinch hitter. I come and get me, and I'll give you your money. So yes, I understand that co-signing typically comes from a place of the heart. You
Of
want to help
course.
out a friend.
Yep.
You know, that's your that's your man or whatever the case may be. And that is great and wonderful for you as a person. However, it is not a risk-free transaction. And at any given moment, if they decide they're not going to pay or they're late or they're behind, that lender will come for you. They will say, okay, now you
Yeah.
owe us this debt. And at that point, since you're a co-signer, Remy was kind of talking about like communicating and things like that. Unfortunately, that is a situation where they are not going to care what the story is around why the original person can't pay. They're just going to be like, you co-signed, so you owe the money. I have my own personal horror stories for co-signing for somebody that I thought, wouldn't be a big deal. It was a big deal. And
Spoilers.
pretty much with a very few exceptions, I know almost everybody who in the past, like in the early 20s or whatever, has co-signed for a friend or a boyfriend or something like that. And I don't know of anyone where it was like, yeah, it was perfectly fine. So
Okay.
take that to the bank before you co-sign. Things can go wrong, especially when you're talking about like cars and things that are like 6 years out, 5 years out. That makes a huge difference. Or credit cards where it's like it's just ongoing. So
Yeah.
10 years from now, you're still linked to that person through that credit card. So I would just caution you that if your immediate answer isn't going to be no, to just really think about it, because you are on the hook for all of that in every way possible, as if you did the debt yourself.
Yep. She kind of alluded to this, Remy, but do you want to then take on the second part of that, which is about being an authorized user, specifically on someone's credit card? So we talked about co-signing on I just lost the word, installment loans, but it's a different beast, similar but different beast to be an authorized user on a credit card too. Do you want to take that?
Absolutely. So with being an authorized user, so please again be very cautious about becoming an authorized user on an account and making someone else an authorized user
both
on your
sides.
account,
Yep.
right? And if by chance it's like I know a lot of parents are loving their children, they want to set them up for success, and they want to add their children on as authorized users on their account, don't give them a card.
Yes.
Because it's just based off of your credit. You won't have to worry about their spending habits. And let me tell you, some of the best of us have done this and have given cards, but then those payments aren't, successfully made by the authorized user. So just to cut to the punch, do not give them a card if you're going to do that. And then if someone else makes you an authorized user, make sure they're on top of their payments as well. Because guess what? Once they make you authorized user and they fall behind because life happens, right?
Of course.
Then that also affects your credit. Your credit will begin to slide down as well. Just like it's able to build up, it's able to fall down. So please be very, very cautious when making someone an authorized user, or if someone is also making you an authorized user.
Yep. I know parents for kiddos is a really common one because you're trying to set your kiddo up for success, but I love Remy's point about one, don't give them a card, but also like doing some internal self-reflection to make sure that you are in a place to make sure that it is a good thing for your kiddo. We've said it multiple times, life happens. We get it. Like things are unpredictable, but just trying your best to make sure that you're at a point in life where you can successfully make those payments, keep your utilization low, so that it is actually helping your kiddo instead of harming them. Because I feel like I've heard you guys say this, your kiddo is probably better served by a thin or empty file when they turn 18 than a file that has unfortunately derogatory. Like, I think that's kind of another common misconception. I know I've heard Sasha say this. Folks come in and they don't have a credit score at all because they haven't ever had a card or a loan, and they think that they're so far behind. And actually, it's a lot easier to start from there than it is to fight back from some more negative things.
It's 100% easier to start from scratch and do it right than it is to climb out of a hole.
Yeah.
So if you have no score, 10 times easier to get a score real quick, make sure that score is good, get in a good position, than it is to have a score that's low and try to build that up.
Yeah. So it can be done. Let's be clear. Like we do it every day. We watch clients do it every day. It's absolutely doable. But I say that to encourage you around your kiddos. Like if you feel that maybe you're not in the position to do it well, do it right, it's actually okay.
Yeah.
Your kiddo will be okay.
Yeah.
You're doing a good job.
And if you all are adults, in this type of relationship, make sure that you have access to your credit report, which you can do through Prosperity Connection. Make sure that you are actively attentive with what's on your credit and what's on their credit if you guys are sharing history. So you guys can both be on top of it like a team. So
that's a really good point, because if your kiddo is under 18 and you run their credit report with us and we see some things that are suspicious, it is much easier to dispute and get those things taken off because they've never been able to authorize that because they've been underage than waiting until they're over. So I feel like I've often heard when your kiddo is maybe around 16, 17, bring them in for a credit checkup, if you will. Let us look at their credit report, and then Remy or Heather can make some really great suggestions for what they can do when they turn 18 to make sure they're starting off on a strong foot.
Love it.
All right. Let's talk about things that do and don't impact our credit score. So we've heard folks say that my credit score is impacted by my race, by my income, by my zip code. I feel like we've even heard like maybe religion or other things. So
I think the important thing to remember when it comes to that, and we've spoken about this before, they don't care who you are. They will report every negative, derogatory thing that they can think of. Unfortunately, we live in a world where everybody around you is playing a game to help you win that game, but understand that they're playing a game, and they'll be nasty to anyone. It doesn't matter what your race, religion, whatever the case may be, orientation, they don't care. They will take you for all you're worth if they feel like they can. So the concept of your score being lower simply because of one thing about yourself is not going to be true. Just because they'll come after anybody. They don't care.
and race, income. Well, I guess zip code kind of is like, because some of your recent addresses are on there, but like race and income are not even put on your credit report. They're not even on there.
And the same caution lines that they have for one person, they have the same caution lines for the other. So if you're behind on something, or if you're too high, or you're spending too much on your credit card, it's going to be the same line for each person. There's no preferential treatment.
Yep. So just to summarize for people who maybe haven't heard us talk about it before, what are the 5 things that are impacting your credit score? What's that made of?
Sure. So the biggest one is going to be like payments, credit payments, just payments. So on-time payments That's the biggest one at 35%. The next one is going to be credit utilization. So how much credit you're actually using when it comes to like your credit cards and things like that. That makes up 30%. Credit history. So that is just basically how long you've had credit, how long they've been able to monitor how you use credits. There's a credit mix, which is, do they have credit cards and also installment loans like a car or a house or something like that. And the reason why credit mix is important is because they want to see what kind of borrower you are in all situations. So if you get your credit pulled and you do fantastic with your credit cards and you have a good score because of that, you will still get dinged because they're thinking to themselves, well, great, we're happy they do good with their credit cards, but we don't know what they do if they had a car. We don't know what they do if they got a personal loan or something like that. So they'll kind of ding you for that. So that's why you kind of want a good mix of credit. And then inquiries. So as you know, just anytime somebody is pulling your credit to that you want to borrow money from, that will be a hard hit. So a credit card, a car, any of that, it's called a hard hit. That does get reported to the credit bureaus, and it can drop your score if you have several of them.
Perfect.
Now, one other caveat. If you want to purchase a car, please stay within the 30-day window. I always tell people I knock it down 15 days. Let's say give yourself 15 days. At least know, I'll say the max of 3 cars that you want to purchase. And if you do it within that small amount of time, if you go into these dealerships and they're pulling your credit, then you'll be good. It only counts for 1 hit. Same for a house. You have 45 days. I knock it down 15 days again. So I say 30 days. In order, if you want to go to different lenders to see what they're looking at or the numbers. If you stay within that, it only counts for 1 hit. Again, minimize that down to 3 possibilities before you start letting them hit your credit. Do that, it only counts for 1 hit, and then that will save you the anguish of, having
15,
those
20,
hits. Right, exactly.
It will still show up individually on your credit report, just so you know, so you don't worry. Like those, let's say 3 different hits or the 3 different pulls will all show up, but when the calculation is done to calculate your credit score, it is all only counted as 1. So if you still see 3, don't be alarmed. All right, last one, because we've just got a couple minutes left. Sending dispute letters to all of my trade lines will help fix or build my credit.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. So when you dispute something with the credit bureaus, the only reason you should be disputing it is because you do not owe the debt. You've never heard of it, you have no idea what it is, all of those things. They somehow got the reporting wrong. If you know that you owe that debt, it is not going to benefit you to send a dispute letter. What happens with a dispute letter, and I think this misconception comes from a lot of credit builder companies that are charging you, that's what they do. They just kind of send out dispute letters to everyone and hope something sticks. Basically what a dispute letter is, it is sent out to the credit bureaus. It's saying, hey, I think that this is reported incorrectly. I don't think that this, is mine, and I want it removed. What's going to happen though is the credit bureau is going to reach out to that company. They're going to gather all the information they have on that debt, and then they're going to get back to you and they're going to say, yeah, no, you do, and here's the paperwork to show it. And they will always have the paperwork to show it. So you may have delayed the inevitable, they might stop reporting while they're kind of figuring
well, because they have to
out.
remove it from your credit report, right, while it's under investigation.
They don't have to remove it. There will be a line that says customer dispute submitted. So it would still show, but they would probably stop reporting while they're trying to figure all of this out. But ultimately, they will figure it out. They will send it to the credit bureaus. The credit bureaus will contact you via letter, and they'll say, "Nah, fam, this is absolutely you." So really, all you've done was delayed the inevitable and wasted $6 on a certified stamp. Is literally the long and short of it. it would be very rare that a company would just
Yeah.
not contact you or contact you and say, oh my gosh, we're so sorry, when you know you owe the debt. So all it does is delay things for a potential amount of time.
Yeah.
The delay might raise your credit score because they're not reporting negatively, but again, we're talking 30 to 60 days here.
Yeah.
So you might see a raise in your credit score in 30 days, a slight raise, but the minute they send off that paperwork and go, yes, we're correct, it's just
You're
going to
back
drop
to
back
square
down
one.
again. So you've really done nothing to help yourself. If you know you owe a debt, unfortunately, like we were just saying at the very beginning, there is no cheat code.
Yeah.
The debt just has to be paid.
Right.
Yep.
And that's really all the long and short of it. I know.
Mhm.
I wish it was better.
Any last thoughts? Any last pieces of encouragement before we hang up for today?
Again, if you have any other questions, post them. We'll see them or contact us.
Yeah.
prosperityconnection.org/get started. You can sign up for our credit review or financial coaching.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if I had one thing to say, I would just say that a lot of the stuff that we've been saying all day is kind of just like discouraging, probably, because there is no magic that anybody can do. It is really just about hard work. But at the end of the day, it is hard work that can be done. That we can
100%.
talk you through it, and we see it all day, every day. 100 score like increase and
Yep.
things like that, just from putting the work in. If you're looking for a magical solution, there isn't one, and you'll never be able to get where you need to go. But the minute you kind of let that go and you go, okay, I need to have an actual plan, we can help you with that plan, and it 100% can get done. So I don't want to be discouraging by saying sorry, there's nothing magic about it, but encouraging by saying it doesn't have to be magic.
Yeah.
We can help you through it, and you can do it 100%.
If you're not afraid of some hard work, we got you.
We got you.
We got you.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for joining us or for watching this after. I hope that we've set the record straight on some of these credit myths. I don't want to be redundant, but again, we've got great services here and ready to go, and we also have our classes coming back in April, so that'll be the next time we're kind of around. And then we'll be back with some Facebook Lives in May, so keep an eye on the page to find out what those will be. So thank you all. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.